Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of our podcast, True Life Stories. I'm your host, Clara Reed. Today, we have a particularly special story from a 34-year-old woman named Emily. After spending many years working as an accountant in New York City, she's returned to her hometown for the first time in 15 years, only to find herself caught between love, friendship, and painful memories from the past. Let's dive into Emily's journey of healing, love, and difficult choices. Hi, I'm Emily. I'm 34 now, and for most of my adult life, I've been working in New York City as an accountant. Sounds like I had it all together, right? Big city, good career. But recently I started asking myself, am I really happy? After 10 years of non-stop work, always trying to prove myself, I hit a wall. I was burnt out. I graduated from college, and for a decade I climbed the corporate ladder. At first it felt good, being successful, but deep down I knew my drive came from something darker. I was trying to outrun my past. You see, in high school, I was bullied, badly. And part of me wanted to become successful so that I could prove to all those people that I was worth something, that I'd made it. But that kind of motivation only takes you so far. Eventually, I felt exhausted. So, I took a leave of absence from work, a 3-month break, to travel across the U.S. I needed time to breathe, to reflect. But there was one part of my trip I kept avoiding. Going back to my hometown. It had been 15 years since I left, and I hadn't been back once. I had sworn I never would. My hometown was full of painful memories. In middle and high school, I was bullied mercilessly. Every day felt like a fight to survive, emotionally, mentally. The teasing started small, but it grew into something cruel. They humiliated me in front of the entire school, making sure I knew I didn't belong. It wasn't just words either. There were physical threats, people pushing me, shoving me. I lived in constant fear. I couldn't tell my parents. I didn't want them to worry, and more than that, I was embarrassed. So I dealt with it alone. By the time I graduated, I knew I had to leave. I ran away to college in New York and promised myself I'd never look back. At college, I kept to myself. I didn't make many friends. I couldn't trust people. Instead, I focused on my studies, determined to build a life that had nothing to do with my past. I buried myself in work and eventually became a successful accountant. But no matter how much I achieved, the wounds from my teenage years never fully healed. And whenever we had family events like Thanksgiving or Christmas, I suggested we meet at my grandmother's house in another state. It became this unspoken agreement. No one asked me to come back, and I never had to explain why. My parents understood, even if we never talked about it directly. They knew I was running from something, and they never pushed. So, 15 years later, I found myself standing on the edge of going back. My heart was pounding as I approached the town. I didn't want to return, but something in me said I had to. I needed to confront the past if I was ever going to move forward. When I finally arrived, everything seemed smaller. The streets, the buildings, they were almost exactly as I remembered them. It was as if time had frozen while I'd been away. As I walked through the familiar places, old memories flooded back. I could almost see myself as a scared teenager, trying to disappear into the background. But then I caught my reflection in a shop window. I stopped and stared. I didn't see that terrified girl anymore. The woman in the reflection was confident, strong. It hit me. I wasn't that person anymore. I'd grown, I'd changed. and for the first time I felt like I could truly move on. That's when I decided to do something I never thought I would. I walked into the local bar. It was a small, run-down place, the kind that never really changes. As I walked in, I noticed a few familiar faces, but no one recognized me. And honestly, I liked it that way. It felt like a fresh start. I ordered a drink and sat down, enjoying the anonymity. That's when a man came over and sat beside me.
Hey there. You look a little too sophisticated to be hanging out in a place like this. What brings you here?
I could ask you the same thing. Do you come here often?
He didn't recognize me, not at all, and I didn't blame him. I'd changed a lot since high school, but I recognized him immediately. Jake, the high school soccer star, the guy everyone admired. He was still charming, still had that same magnetic energy. Back in high school, he barely noticed me. But now he was flirting with me.
I guess you could say I'm a regular, but I haven't seen you around here before. Passing through?
Something like that. I used to live here a long time ago.
We talked for a while, and to my surprise, it was easy. He was funny, kind, and I found myself enjoying the attention. I hadn't expected it, but there was a connection there. He asked me if I wanted to meet up again sometime, and before I knew it, we were spending time together almost every day. We started small, coffee dates, just talking about life. The first time we met up after the bar was at this little cafe just outside of town, the kind of place where the waitress knows your name and your usual order by heart.
So you said you used to live here, but you didn't sound too excited about it. Why'd you leave?
It's complicated. I didn't have the best time growing up here, but New York was a fresh start for me.
New York, huh? Big city life. Bet it's a lot different from this quiet town.
Yeah, a little. What about you? You stayed here?
For the most part, I've had my share of ups and downs, but there's something comforting about this place. It's familiar.
We talked like that for hours, about New York, about our lives, about how different we'd both become since high school. Jake didn't ask too many probing questions about my past, and I was grateful for that. He let me open up at my own pace, and I found myself wanting to share more with him. A few weeks into dating, after one of our usual coffee meetups, I felt like it was time to be honest with Jake about my past. I hadn't told him yet that I was bullied in high school, that I was that quiet, awkward girl who had barely spoken a word in class. But if our relationship was going to mean something, he needed to know. We were sitting in his car after a walk when I decided to tell him.
Jake, there's something I need to tell you. Something about me. From back when we were in school.
Yeah, what's going on?
In high school, I wasn't just the quiet girl. I was bullied. Pretty badly, actually. That's why I left town the first chance I got. I couldn't take it anymore. They would push me around, call me names, humiliate me. Every day was like living in fear. And no one really noticed. Not even you.
Emily, I'm so sorry. I remember you now. You were always so quiet, kept to yourself. I didn't know you were going through that.
I didn't expect anyone to know. I hid it as best I could, but it was really hard.
If I had known, I swear I would have done something. I would have stood up for you. I had no idea what you were going through, Emily. I'm so sorry.
It's okay, Jake. You couldn't have known, but thank you for saying that.
You didn't deserve that. No one does. And I wish I could have been there for you. I would have protected you, Emily, if I had known.
Jake's words hit me in a way I didn't expect. For so long I had carried that pain alone, and now here was someone from that very time in my life, telling me that I wasn't invisible after all, that maybe, if things had been different, someone would have cared. I didn't realize how much I needed to hear that, and in that moment, I knew I could trust him. I could open up to him in ways I hadn't with anyone else. Maybe we both had scars, but maybe that was exactly why we could understand each other. A few days later, I was out grocery shopping with my parents. The air smelled of fresh produce and spices, and everything felt normal. But that's when I heard a voice I hadn't heard in years.
Emily, oh my God, is that really you?
Lily, I can't believe it's you. It's been so long.
Yeah, oh my God, how have you been? I've missed you so much. It feels like a lifetime ago.
Lily was the only person who stood up for me during the worst years of my life. When everyone else was too scared to speak out, she was the one who protected me. She didn't care about being popular or fitting in. She cared about what was right. I hadn't seen her in 15 years, and here she was, standing right in front of me. I still remember how alone I felt during those years. There was this one day, it was my sophomore year in high school. I was in the cafeteria, sitting by myself like usual. I kept my head down, just trying to get through lunch without being noticed. But then, they came over. I heard them before I saw them. Laughter, sneers, those girls who always had something cruel to say. I tensed up as soon as I knew they were heading my way. I could feel my heart racing.
Look who's all alone again. What's wrong, Emily? No one wants to sit with you? Guess they know better.
Maybe if you didn't dress like that, you wouldn't be such a freak.
They circled my table, making sure everyone in the cafeteria could hear them. I wanted to disappear. I was trying to hold back tears, just waiting for it to be over. But then, out of nowhere, Lily appeared.
Hey, leave her alone.
Who asked you, Lily? This is between us and the loser over there.
I'm asking, back off. What's your problem? You think bullying someone makes you better? It just makes you pathetic.
That was the first time anyone had stood up for me. Lily was fierce. She didn't care about the popular crowd or fitting in. She just cared about what was right. I remember watching her, stunned that someone would defend me, especially someone like her. She wasn't afraid of them. I couldn't understand how someone could be that brave.
Whatever, let's go.
You okay?
I didn't know how to thank her back then. It was such a small thing to her, but to me, it was everything. Lily was the only person who ever stood up for me during those years. She became my only real friend. After catching up a little, we decided to go for coffee and sit down to talk properly. It had been so many years, and there was so much to say. Lily told me about her life, how things had been since high school, but then, as our conversation deepened, she mentioned something that shook me.
I got married a few years ago to a man I thought was my forever. We were so happy at first, but then we lost our baby. It broke us. We couldn't find our way back to each other after that. He pulled away from me and I couldn't reach him anymore. We fought all the time and eventually we divorced. I never wanted it to end that way, but I couldn't handle the grief, and neither could he.
And then she said his name, Jake. My Jake. Lily's ex-husband was Jake. My heart stopped. I didn't know what to say. I sat there, trying to process what I had just heard. Jake, the man I was falling for, was Lily's ex-husband, the man who had broken her heart, and here I was, unknowingly stepping into the same story. My heart was pounding as I met up with Jake. I knew this conversation wasn't going to be easy, but it had to happen.
Emily, what's going on? You've been distant these past few days. Is something bothering you?
I ran into someone from my past and yours too. I met Lily.
Lily, I didn't know you were still in touch with someone from the school. I didn't know how to tell you, Emily. Is she the one who bullied you?
Jake. Lily was the only person who stood up for me in high school. When no one else cared, when I was at my lowest, she was there. And now, I'm with you, the man who broke her heart. I don't know how to reconcile that.
Emily, I understand how much Lily meant to you. She's a good person, and I'll always respect her for being there for you when you needed it the most. But we can't live in the past forever. We're here now, in the present. What we have, it's real.
Go with Jake, this isn't just about the past. Lily is still hurting. She told me about how you two fell apart after losing your baby. I can't just pretend that doesn't matter. She's my friend, and now I'm with you. How is that fair to her?
I'm not proud of how things ended with Lily. Losing our child, it broke us both in ways I can't even explain. But that doesn't mean we can't move forward. That doesn't mean we should lose what we've started.
I don't know if I can hurt her like that, you know? She's been through so much.
I'm not asking you to choose between us. I know how much she means to you, but what's happening between us, it's important too. You and I, we've connected in ways that are real, Emily. We've both been through so much, but we've found each other now. Don't let the past take that away from us. We can get through this together. I know it's complicated, and I know you're worried about Lily, but we're not the people we were back in high school. We've both grown. We're different now. The important thing isn't what happened before. It's what we do now, here in the present. You can talk to Lily. We can find a way to make this work without hurting anyone.
But what if it's too late? What if being with you hurts her even more?
It's never easy, Emily. But you deserve to be happy too. I care about you more than you know, and I believe we can be something good for each other. Let's give this a chance. Let's be honest with Lily, but don't walk away from what we could have just because it's hard.
Lily was the only friend I had in high school, the only one who stood up for me when I was being bullied. She protected me when no one else would, and I feel like I owe her so much. And now I'm falling for her ex-husband. What should I do? Should I break it off with Jake before Lily finds out? Before things get more complicated? Should I end things with Jake? We haven't been dating long, just a few weeks. It would be easier to walk away now before I get too attached, before Lily gets hurt. It seems like the right thing to do. For Lily, for me. But then, I think about Jake. He understands what it's like to carry pain. He opened up to me about losing his child, about how broken he felt afterward. And when I told him about my past, about the bullying, he didn't pity me. He didn't judge me. He just understood. Could I really walk away from him? He's been through so much, and so have I. Maybe, in some strange way, we can help each other heal. Maybe we're both broken, but together, we could be whole. I'm really torn. What would you do if you were in my shoes? Should I stay with Jake, or should I walk away to protect Lily? I'd love to hear your thoughts and advice. I don't know what's right anymore. And that's where Emily's story leaves us for now. She's standing at a crossroads, unsure of which path to take. Should she follow her heart, or should she stand by her friend? What would you do? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Additionally, if you have personal stories or experiences you'd like to discuss, don't hesitate to send them to us via email. We'd love to hear from you and possibly feature your story in a future episode. Thank you for joining us on True Life Stories podcast today. I'm Clara Reed, and I look forward to our next episode together.